The wedding was supposed to be a day full of joy, laughter, and celebration, but no one expected the chaos that would unfold. She was just a simple woman, quietly enjoying her brother's big day, when suddenly, in a shocking act of humiliation, someone threw a drink all over her. The cold, sticky liquid soaked her dress, leaving her stunned and embarrassed in front of everyone. Whispers spread through the crowd, and the air felt heavy with tension. People stared, some hiding smirks, while others looked away in awkward sympathy. She wanted to disappear, to escape the humiliation, but before she could react, the entire atmosphere changed. Across the room, her husband, unknown to most, a billionaire, stood frozen for a moment, his eyes locked on the scene. The look on his face wasn't anger. Not exactly. It was something far more intense, something that no one could predict. Guests held their breath, wondering what he would do next. Would he confront the disrespectful crowd? Or would he handle it in a way that no one expected? As murmurs rippled through the wedding hall, the simple woman realized that her life was about to change in ways she never imagined. What happened next would shock everyone in attendance. Everyone at the wedding had seen him before, but few really knew him. Her husband wasn't just wealthy, he was a man with influence that reached far beyond the glimmering halls of the city. Yet, despite his power, he had chosen a life far from the spotlight, living quietly with her, away from the judgmental eyes of society. She had always admired his calm, protective nature, but seeing him now, standing there with that unreadable expression, made her heart race. The guests, still frozen in shock from the incident, couldn't understand the connection between the simple woman drenched in soda and the man who could have anything he wanted. Whispers began circulating. Was he going to take revenge? Or was there something more unexpected coming? She felt a mix of fear and curiosity, unsure whether to run or trust him. Her mind flashed back to the moments that brought them together, chance encounters, shared laughter, and the quiet strength he had always shown her. None of it seemed ordinary. Now, not with the world watching and judgment hanging in the air. Something was about to happen that could change everything, not just for her, but for everyone at the wedding. And in that instant, the tension in the room became almost unbearable. The murmurs in the hall grew louder as the guests tried to make sense of what had just happened. Some cast guilty glances at the culprits, while others avoided eye contact. Entirely, she could feel the heat creeping up her neck, the embarrassment mingling with a sense of helplessness. Her brother, busy with his wedding duties, looked torn between defending his sister and keeping the celebration from spiraling out of control. Her husband's presence, however, shifted everything. He didn't rush forward immediately. Instead, he surveyed the crowd, his eyes sharp, calculating. There was a quiet intensity about him, a tension that seemed to ripple through the air. Some whispered that he could make problems disappear with just a call, while others feared what a confrontation from him might bring. The simple woman watched him carefully, realizing that his calm exterior hid a power no one at the wedding had fully grasped. Meanwhile, the ones responsible for the humiliation exchanged nervous glances. The laughter and bravado they had felt moments ago were now replaced by fear and uncertainty. Friends and relatives began speculating. Who was he really, and how far would he go to protect her? Every second felt stretched, and the air seemed charged with anticipation, as if the wedding hall itself was holding its breath. She clutched her dress, knowing the next move would define more than just this evening. It could change their lives forever. The room seemed to shrink around her, every eye now on the scene that had erupted from a single careless act. Her husband took a slow step forward, each movement measured, as if he were deciding exactly how the situation should unfold. The simple woman's heart pounded, unsure whether to feel hope or dread. The guests were frozen in a mix of fascination and fear, sensing that something extraordinary was about to happen. The ones who had thrown the drink shifted uneasily, their earlier confidence gone. Whispers filled the air, questions bouncing from one corner of the hall to another. Was he going to humiliate them in return? Or was there a deeper plan unfolding that no one could predict? She caught her brother's anxious gaze. He looked, torn between defending his sister and keeping the wedding from collapsing into chaos. Her husband stopped. Just a few steps away, the tension in his stance radiating like electricity. He glanced at her, his eyes soft for only a moment, then swept across the crowd with an intensity that made the entire room hold its breath. Something was coming, something decisive, something that would leave an impression no one would ever forget. And in that heartbeat, she realized that the ordinary life she had known was about to collide with the extraordinary, and nothing would ever be the same. Just as the tension seemed unbearable, a sudden commotion erupted at the edge of the hall. One of the wedding planners rushed over, whispering frantically to the groom, and the crowd began to murmur again. Something was wrong, something bigger than the spilled drink. The simple woman's eyes darted around, trying to understand, but the details were murky. Her husband's gaze sharpened, his calm demeanor now edged with urgency. He moved closer to her, placing a protective hand on her shoulder. But his eyes never left the unfolding scene. Then came the unexpected twist. The culprit who had thrown the coke wasn't acting alone. A group of guests, previously unnoticed, exchanged subtle signals, hinting at a coordinated plan. The wedding, meant to celebrate love and unity, had suddenly become a battlefield of hidden agendas and unspoken rivalries. The simple woman felt a chill run down her spine. This wasn't just humiliation. It was something more dangerous, something that threatened to upend not only the celebration, but her family's peace and even her own sense of security. Her husband's expression darkened as he surveyed the conspirators, the billionaire within him, quietly calculating every possible move. Every guest's gaze was now locked, sensing the storm building, yet no one could predict what would happen next. And in that tense silence, the simple woman realized that the night's events were spiraling far beyond her imagination, and nothing would be the same after this shocking revelation. The room held its breath as her husband finally stepped forward, his voice calm but carrying a weight that silenced every whisper. "Enough," he said, and suddenly the entire hall seemed to freeze. The group that had orchestrated the humiliation exchanged nervous glances, realizing that their arrogance had underestimated him. Without raising his hand, he revealed evidence photos and messages he had quietly gathered over weeks, exposing the plot to disgrace his wife. Gasps echoed through the hall as the culprits stammered, unable to defend themselves against the undeniable proof. The simple woman stood frozen, half in shock, half in awe. She had always known her husband was powerful, but witnessing his quiet, precise control over the situation left her feeling a mix of relief and amazement. Her brother rushed forward, pulling her into a protective embrace, while the guests slowly began to shift, their expressions turning from judgment to admiration. Just when it seemed the storm had passed, a final twist shattered the calm. One of the planners, who had seemed innocent all along, stepped forward with a smirk, revealing that they had tampered with the wedding's arrangements, not the drink, but something far more consequential that could have endangered everyone. Her husband's eyes narrowed, and the simple woman realized their night wasn't over yet. Even amidst victory, the shadows of intrigue lingered, hinting that the challenges ahead would test them in ways no one could have imagined. The tension slowly lifted as her husband calmly addressed the final threat, his quiet authority leaving no room for further deception. The planner, caught in the act, had no choice but to step back, realizing that their schemes had failed. Guests exhaled in relief, the room buzzing with whispered admiration for the billionaire who had protected not just his wife, but the entire